Hello everyone, hope you're well. So in this video, I'm going to demonstrate the basic steps to calculate correlation using SPSS. Now before we get into SPSS, let me quickly recapitulate the basics of correlation for you. We'll be using the Pearson's product moment correlation, or simply Pearson's R, which is a measure of the strength of linear association between two continuous variables. Now the values of the correlation coefficient ranges from +1 to -1, where +1 indicates a perfect positive association between the variables. And any positive value, which means any value of the correlation coefficient between 0 to +1, indicates a positive association, which implies that as one variable increases, the other variable is also likely to increase. A value of -1, on the other hand, indicates a perfect negative association between the variables. And any negative value, so any value between 0 and -1, indicates a negative association, which implies that as one variable increases, the other variable is likely to decrease. And of course, a value of 0 indicates that there is no correlation or no association between the variables involved. Okay, so with that basic understanding, let's look at how do you use SPSS to calculate a correlation between the variables. So what we have here is a data set which has observations from 20 individuals on their level of spirituality and authoritative parenting style. So this, of course, is a data set with just 20 observations. It's a set of data that I've pulled out from a larger pool of data. A data set of 20 observations is, of course, considered to be an extremely small data set, and usually larger data sets are suggested. But I'm using this only for demonstrative purposes. So for the demonstrative purpose, I've pulled out 20 observations, a set of 20 observations from a larger data set. So what you're seeing on the screen here is the score of 20 individuals on a scale of spirituality, indicating their level of spirituality, and the extent to which they are likely to use authoritative parenting style in their interaction with their children. Authoritative parenting style is a parenting style which is considered to be extremely desirable, and it's considered to have positive consequences for the children concerned. So what we are interested in finding out is the association between the level of spirituality of an individual and the extent to which this person is likely to use authoritative parenting style. And we'll of course be using the correlational analysis to get an understanding into this association. So once you've downloaded the SPSS software onto your system, you basically have to open SPSS and by clicking on the icon. And once you do that, this data set window is going to pop up. And this window, of course, is going to be blank, which essentially means that you have to, first of all, import your data into the SPSS. How would you do that? You would click on File here, Open, and go click on Data. Okay, now in this dialog box, you would see that the default setting, by default, SPSS would be able to read only the data sets which are in the SPSS default format, which is the .sav format, but it can read other formats as well. So since our data is in the Excel format, you have to click on this for the drop-down menu and click on Excel here. So now you see, after we've clicked on Excel, SPSS is also reading our demo data, which is in the Excel format. Okay, so we open that data. Now this dialog box here is basically asking you whether it should read the first row in your data set as the names of the variables. So as you see here, we have the first row in the Excel sheet with the names of the variables. And if that's how you've punched in your data, then you would just go ahead and click OK, because this dialog box is already checked here. So it would read the variable names from the first row of the data, right? So we'll go ahead and click OK. Okay, so now if you see here, our data set has already been imported into SPSS, and once that's done, we don't really need our Excel data anymore, so we can shut that. Okay, now first of all, to begin with, even before we get into the correlational analysis, we will be interested in certain basic descriptives about the data. Basics like what is the range of the data, what is the mean figure of each of the variables involved. And to do that, we need to go to Analyze here, go to Descriptive Statistics, and click on Descriptives here. So once this dialog box opens, what are the variables that are of interest to us? The two variables here, spirituality and authoritative parenting style. And we need to know the descriptives of both of these. So we click on spirituality and then click on this arrow here to include the variables in this box. Similarly, we click on authoritative parenting and we click on the arrow to include authoritative parenting into this box, and we can move back and forth. So if after doing that we realize that we're not interested in authoritative parenting, we can simply click on authoritative parenting again and remove it from the box. But for now we're interested. After that, let's go to options here. So we're interested in the mean, we're interested in the standard deviation. It's always good to know that. We're interested in the range of scores, so the minimum score and the maximum score, and the variable list. So I think for now these would be enough for us. Continue and click on OK. So once you've clicked on OK, you would see that the results open in an output window of SPSS, and you would see that this table here depicts all the basic descriptives that we had asked for. So it shows that the total sample size was 20. N is for the total sample size was 20. For spirituality, the minimum value that we had was 112. The maximum value that we had, the maximum score that we had was 168. The mean score was 134.850, and we have a standard deviation of about 16.57. Similarly, for authoritative parenting, again, we have the total sample size, which is 20. We have the minimum and the maximum values of 47 and 75 each, and we have the mean value of 62.650. Okay, so it's always good to know these basic descriptives about your data before progressing for any higher level analysis. But of course, after that, we're interested in the association, the level of association or the correlation between the two variables of concern here. So again, for that, we go back to Analyze, we go to Correlate here, and then we click on Bivariate. Again, this dialog box opens. So we're interested in the association between spirituality and authoritative parenting. So we would shift both of these into the box under variables. We're interested in calculating the Pearson correlation. There are other kinds of correlations also, which are there. So you would see the option of Kendall's, Tau, and Spearman correlation, but we're not really interested in those, so we would not check those. We're interested in a two-tailed test. Again, right now I would not get into the details of this. And of course, this option of flagging significant correlations, we would check these. So we would want to know which correlations are significant. And with that, we click on OK. All right, so here again, the results of our correlational analysis have they're depicted in the output window, and as you see here, there's a fairly strong correlation between spirituality and authoritative parenting, and this correlation is positive. So the correlation coefficient is plus 0.697, which reflects a fairly strong correlation between spirituality and authoritative parenting. Now, having said that, this number in itself does not have much value till the time we ascertain its statistical significance. So, the statistical significance of the correlational coefficient is extremely important, and it's only when a figure, a correlational coefficient, is statistically significant that it becomes meaningful for us from a statistical standpoint. So no matter what this value is, it's largely meaningless till the time we haven't calculated the statistical significance of that figure, right? Now, if you look here, the significance is depicted here. And this value is significant at 0.001 level, which is a fairly high level of statistical significance. So the smaller the value of the significance, the better it is for us. And if you look at this figure here again, we have two asterisks here, which indicates that the correlation is significant at 0.01 level, which implies that it is highly significant, right? So we have a correlation here which is significant at 0.01 level, which implies that there is a statistically significant high correlation between spirituality and authoritative parenting. And therefore, as parenting increases in an individual, uh, the authoritative parenting style of the individual is also likely to increase. So individuals who are high on spirituality are also likely to be high in authoritative parenting styles, right? Now, having said that, let's also note, and it's important to recognize this, that correlation does not imply causation. Correlation does not help us much with prediction, right? Which simply means that even though individuals who are high on spirituality are more likely to use authoritative parenting styles, a high correlation does not imply that high spirituality is causing uh, high authoritative parenting style in an individual, right? So by no means we're saying that spirituality causes an individual to engage in authoritative parenting practices. We're simply saying that the two are likely to coexist and vary together without indicating whether spirituality causes authoritative parenting style or not, right? Also, at the same time, it does not help us much with prediction. So it simply implies that as one variable is increasing, a high correlation simply implies that as one variable is increasing, the other variable is also likely to increase. But this does not mean that for every unit increase in one correlation, there will be a unit increase in another correlation, which means that if spirituality and authoritative parenting are positively correlated, it does not imply, it does not tell us anything about how much authoritative parenting will increase with a unit increase in spirituality, right? And for that, we use another method of data analysis, which is called regression analysis, right? So correlation is at best the first step in the analysis of prediction, but it's not enough, and we definitely need to perform regression analysis in order to get any meaningful answers about the extent to which spirituality can help us predict authoritative parenting practices. So for now, I will stop at correlation, and if required, perhaps we can have another video on how to perform regression analysis using SPSS. But for now, we stop here at correlation, and I hope it's now at least relatively clear, and this video is going to help you in performing a correlation analysis using SPSS. Thank you so much.